What's up, everybody? Welcome to the High Level Husband Podcast. I'm Tommy McAllister, joined by my wife, Dianne, today.
Hey there.
And anyways, guys, we're going to jump in and we're going to talk about meeting your spouse with where they're at. And guys, this one, obviously, High Level Husband Podcast, but there's women who listen to this as well. But I'll just tell you right now, especially for a lot of high achievers, guys who are really driven, whether that's physically driven, sometimes spiritually driven, business-wise driven, mentally driven, growth driven, like all of this stuff. The hard part about that is that's all good stuff, but it also can be used as bad. Just like money's good, money can be bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like anything in life can become an idol and it can slightly switch to being bad. And one of the things that we've noticed is that a lot of couples, which we did in the last podcast, if you guys haven't listened to the last one about how to never argue, it really talks about how to become one. But the only way you really do that, and one of those, there's many aspects, but one of them is spending a lot of time together.
Yeah.
But oftentimes as leaders, and I did this for many years, and it was a big detriment to our relationship. It was a detriment to my life because it never filled my cup. But so I'm just going to dive into this, guys. I'm going to give some action steps and we're going to go back and forth on this, but I'll just show you exactly where I was at. I was driven, right? Like I was super into my faith, as you know, and you were a little bit lower at that time. I was really into fitness, especially BMX racing. I traveled all over the US and Canada and like raced nationals all the time. That's like, I trained nonstop. Like everything aspect of my life was around like growing with Jesus and how can I get faster on the bike was my life. Good things. I listened to podcasts. I did all that stuff, growth driven. Good things. But why wasn't that making our marriage better? Our marriage got better. None during that time.
Right. We were doing things separate.
Right.
You were doing your thing and I was doing whatever I was doing.
Right. We were two not becoming one. Yeah. We were separate. Exactly. I was Dianne, or you were Dianne. I was Tommy. I was living a solo life. You were living a solo life. Sure, we still had sex. Sure, we would watch maybe some programs at night on TV once the kids went to bed. Sure, we ate dinner as a family, but that's not really doing life together. That's like transactional. Oh, we're in the same house. Like, well, we'll hang out. And I see this with so many people is that their wives are frustrated with them. And the number one thing that your wife wants from you is your time. She doesn't want the purse. She doesn't want the trip. She doesn't want the new car. She doesn't want any of that. She acts like she wants that stuff because she's not getting what she actually wants. And to be honest with you, she doesn't even know 100% times that that's what she actually needs.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't know it.
Right.
When we were in that season, I was like, well, I don't get it why we're not going. I'm like, I'm not doing a lot. I have like purpose in life. I have all this stuff, or so I thought.
Purpose for you.
Right.
But not for anybody, not for us together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, she needs to find some stuff again, you need to find your own thing. Like I have my thing. You need to find something you're super into. Cause I remember asking you at that time, what are you into? And it was like, you said,
my answer was, I don't know.
And you were down for whatever. It's like, you want to go hiking this week? Yeah, I think so. I mean, for the most part, you were down as long as it was simple, going to the park with the kids, going on a hike, going to dinner, doing something simple. You were down for pretty much whatever. And I think even like other things than that, you were still usually pretty open because you didn't have your own thing, but you didn't have your own identity. But then also we didn't have that together as a marriage. And that drastically impacted us because we had nothing to talk about.
Oh yeah. We had like zero conversations.
Yeah. Because you didn't understand my life. I couldn't speak driven stuff to you because it was like over your head. You just didn't understand it. I might as well have been speaking Chinese to you. And then you couldn't really, like the things that maybe you would have talked about was still like, maybe even your coworkers or something. I'd listen a little bit, but it'd be like, I don't really care about so-and-so and like what's going on with her husband, even though I should have cared a little bit more, but that was like your main piece of topic to talk about.
Right.
Or the kids. And that's boring as whatever to talk about. Just like, well, the kids, we need to get their homework up and we need to get their uniforms ready for tomorrow's game. Like ain't nobody excited about talking about that.
Yeah. I had no interesting conversation topics or anything interesting to talk about at all.
Right. And so guys, so we're going to dive into this a little bit deeper right here. And so I watched this growing up in my family, keyword, what is caught is taught in so many ways. And my dad worked a million hours. He loved what he did. He was a sheriff's deputy. He loved what he did for work. And he always told me, son, if you can ever work overtime, you always work overtime. Worst piece of advice that's ever been given. Unfortunately, I love my dad, but his advice typically 9 times out of 10 was terrible advice. And because at the lieu of his marriage. And so I'm not throwing him, I throw him under a bus a lot, but I use it as for good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's having a change of heart.
Yes.
And so my dad, we were just talking about this before we got on here. If he wanted to go to dinner, and him and my mom would go to dinner a decent amount, but it was always, babe, we're going to dinner tonight, and here's where we're going. He would be like, babe, where do you want to go to dinner tonight?
Yeah. Do you want to go to dinner? It's your choice, wherever you'd like to go.
Now, I know some of you guys listen to this, and I'm going to call you out if this is you. Well, my wife just says, I don't know. And then I give another opportunity, and she says, I don't want to go there. Man, pull up your big boy pants and stop being a whiny baby on that type of stuff. And I know that might hurt me saying that. It's the truth, though. I was there. I was frustrated. Oh, you don't know where you want to go? Like, oh, okay, well, we're just going to go here. Like, that's not how attractive, right? Mm-hmm. So my dad would always just say, okay, we're going to dinner here. If they went on trips, my dad was always a big San Francisco Giants baseball fan. All right, we're going to the baseball game. My mom is kind of a girly girl. She likes shopping. She likes going to the city and just walking around. She likes doing all that stuff. That's not my dad. They're complete polar opposites. Mm-hmm. So my dad always wanted to do the trip. Well, I was like, Dad, well, why don't you do something that mom wants to do? Well, I don't want to do what she wants to do. She just wants to go shopping. She just wants to do that. I don't like that. Well, you think she wants to go to watch the baseball game? Do you think she wants to go ride side by sides out in the middle of the country with you and all your guy friends? No. In camp, she's not that person. But does she go every time? Yep, she would go and just be joyful about it. Mm-hmm. It was always his way, and he'd always justify it for a reason why that was a better trip than where she wanted to go. Mm-hmm. And so it was always him, and he would never meet her with where she was at. Mm-hmm. This is weird talking about this with my parents, but my dad would always say, well, the ship has sailed on that when it would come to like intimacy. He's like, well, last time we had sex was when you were made. Like, and that would always be his line. I mean, you've heard him say those things a ton of times. And now that's not the truth. I know, because my mom, unfortunately, would tell me, your dad's always chasing me around for sex. And do you think she's interested in him because the dude wants to take her to baseball games and he always wants to do what he wants to do? And then that he would literally have a room in the house where he would just sit and watch his own TV all day. He would never go watch anything with her, never meet her with where she was at. It was always about him. And then they started sleeping in separate beds. So they had different TV rooms, different beds, different lives. They didn't do anything together.
Different everything. Separate everything.
Never about what she wanted to do. My mom loves Jesus. Do you think my dad just would go to church with her, even though that maybe wasn't his thing, because that's where his wife meant a lot to her? Mm-hmm. Church meant more than anything to her, means more than anything in her whole life. Mm-hmm. Do you think you would go spend some time, an hour a week, with something that means more than anything into your wife's life, even if it's not your thing? Yeah, we can all do that. She would go ride side by sides and spend weeks with you out on the road. Do you think that's her thing? But she spent weeks, not an hour, once a week. Mm-hmm. And so many of us guys, we have our things, so we don't meet them. But to tie this all together, that's been my dad's MO for his whole life. And my mom's dream was to go to Rome, and they're getting older. My dad's health's not very good. And so and I honor him for this because this is way out of his comfort zone. Absolutely. Decided to book a trip. They're there right now. Italy, Paris, and Portugal, 3 places my mom really wanted to go. Never been to Europe, because they spent all their money on houses and cars and things like that instead of like actual experiences, which make you connect because you're doing things together. But a new car don't buy you no happiness. Like that, when I get so fired up on it, it's like, let's get another house. My dad would get another house. He'd get so excited about it. He'd do the lawn and do that. And then once all the projects were done, he'd be miserable again. Then they'd buy a different house. And then they'd sell that one and go do the same thing. And then they'd get a new car. He'd detail it all up. And then after that, it'd be boring. He'd have to get a different one. And it's like they bought him no happiness because their marriage sucked because they didn't do anything together. Mm-hmm. And so now they're in Europe, and I've been getting the calls from them, and I've been hearing a different version of both of them. I can hear joy, a lightness in my dad's joking, laughing, something he doesn't do a whole lot of. Sharing some feelings. And my mom and him are just connecting like no other. Why? He met her with where she's at. The Bible says it's better to give then to receive. But when it's always about me, well, she don't want to do anything and that doesn't make sense. I don't care if it doesn't make sense. I don't care if your wife does the dumbest thing in the world. Meet her where she's at, because it shows that she matters in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't just do it once, you do it consistently. Regularly, you do it. But especially guys that just want to do their own thing. And so one of the things is, guys, is I always recommend for other people is you have to remove, you guys know we talk about this, you have to reset your life. During our process, I had to remove BMX from my life.
Yeah.
I said, I'm no longer going to go do these things. You would go with me, but like, to be honest with you guys, we're sitting in a dusty, dirty place for 3 straight days with smelly dudes.
In which I don't mind going because I actually enjoy watching the races, but it is your thing.
Right. I think you would rather go sit on a beach in Hawaii.
Who wouldn't?
Exactly. So there we go, guys. And so I had to remove that from my life. Saturday nights, I watched every single UFC from UFC like 40 something to UFC 200. Every single pay-per-view, every single free one on TV. So all my Saturdays were consumed with watching every prelim, not just the pay-per-view prelims, all the early ones, and that just watching them all. So what were we not doing? Connecting. It was about what I enjoyed instead of like, what would make you happy on a Saturday night? We worked all week. What would make you happy? So I had to remove that from my life. I removed everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to do that, guys. I'm not saying you can't make things enjoyable in your life, but for the time being, if your marriage is struggling, remove it all.
Yeah.
Don't remove going to the gym unless that takes an insane amount of time from your marriage. Well, then you might have to stop going to the gym and do some body weight stuff around the house because now you're being there with your spouse and you have more time that's not taken away. That's just what you got to do.
It's about sacrifice. Sacrificing your own wants and desires for somebody else temporarily, at least, or at least doing it to be able to come together.
Dying to self. The Bible talks about that.
Exactly.
Dying to self.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. But it is crazy. You find so much joy when your marriage is so good, when you just love on other people. Mm-hmm. All these other things are so good. That's a tough thing for me. It's like, I don't really race my bike anymore. And I love it. Like, I was wrestling with wanting to go race this weekend. And I was just like, man, like, I just get so much more joy doing all these other things. I could go win this race. And it's like going to be a quick little dopamine hit. And it's not going to be in the grand scheme of things, all that happiness, but just doing stuff like life with you is what makes it joyful. Now, I know a lot of the guys are going to say, well, can't your wife come and do those things as well? Can't it be a compromise? It will be as you guys grow together as one. That's why Dianne can go to the races and I can still do them from time to time. But after a while, you'll find new things. God will bring things into your life that you both enjoy.
Yeah.
It won't necessarily be about meeting her with where she's at, and it won't be about her meeting you with where you're at. You'll have something that you become together as one, to becoming one. That means you have that same interests. Like, our interests are very similar now in so many things. Like, we want to do the exact same things. Trips, hobbies, everything is the exact same now.
Yeah. Or find new experiences to try together.
Well, that's how you get there.
Absolutely.
But I'm just saying on this specific topic, meet her with where she's at. If she loves watching The Bachelorette, I get it, guys. Dumb show. Watch it with her.
Nobody should be watching it, but yeah.
Yes. Watch it with her. Don't be like, this is dumb. It's pointless. Nobody ever makes it.
Yeah.
She enjoys it. Watch it with her. She wants to go do yoga. Go do yoga with her. Mm-hmm. Like, meet her with where she's at. Don't be like, well, I'll do it if you want me to. No, she needs to know that you want to.
Oh, absolutely. And even if you don't want to, you act like you do want to, so that way you can meet her where she's at and she can be felt like she's seen and heard. So that way she knows that you're actually coming to spend time with her on purpose.
Absolutely. Because then once you're doing that, you guys will talk more and more. She'll see you not as selfish. And guys, that's the thing, is that a lot of times they just see us as selfish. I don't know if you, I'll honor him right here, and I don't mind doing it because what I'm about to say is good. I don't know if you guys know Ryan Pineda. He's been on my podcast. He's become a closer friend in my life recently. And dude loves Jesus, but he also loves his family. Dude loves business. It's clear. But he has a rule in his life, and he loves golf. He used to play professional baseball, so he's these dedicated people. He loves business like he loved playing baseball. Now it's like he has this personality, driven personality. Same thing with golf. Here's the thing, is that Every day he gets off work by 5 o'clock, no matter what, even though he could make him in specifically his roles millions of more dollars. B, he takes the weekends off every single weekend. And C, he plays golf, but he doesn't do it on the weekend, which is his family time. He plays it on Friday, and he takes a day off from work and sacrifices money to go do what he enjoys doing, so it doesn't take away from the time from his family during that time. And he makes sure that that's what it is. I get it. Not everybody's in a position to where you can take one day off a week of work to go do those type of things. More people are in position than you actually think, though, to be able to do it. If you cut out some things out of your life that you actually, then you don't have to take a day off, but maybe take 2 hours and you get off early. And that's when you go do something that you enjoy doing, whether it's jujitsu or something, and you do that once a week and you go do it, but you don't take it away from your other family's times. You've been encouraging me to ride my bike more. And did you recall what always is my reasoning recently?
What?
That it takes too much time away from the family, because the track's 35 minutes from our house. So I have to drive 35 minutes to get there, 15 minutes to get my bike and everything ready. So, and then an hour and a half there riding and signing up and doing that. And then a 35-minute drive back, and then 15 minutes putting everything away. Now we're talking at least 3 hours out of my night to go ride my bike for an hour, something I enjoy, but it's 3 hours. Now that means we don't get to eat dinner together. That means we're not going on our nightly walk. That means that we're not playing the games with the kids. That means we're not going to sit and watch a program with the kids. That means our whole evening is thrown off differently.
It's removed
because of that.
Yeah.
I would rather sacrifice me not riding my bike so I can build the momentum every day with our kids and with you in those things and on that. And so that's what it is. It's a time thing for me, not necessarily that you don't want me to. We're in a spot where I could bring those things back in, but not at the Lou. For me, it's not worth it.
Yeah. And guys, if you think that your spouse won't notice, your wife won't notice that you are making sacrifices like that, she might not say something. But if you think she doesn't notice, she does. She'll notice if you start removing some of those things temporarily from your life. She'll absolutely 100% take notice and see that.
Well, Grace said on that, baby, because it's a heart issue.
Yeah.
You can't just stop doing those things and be like, throw it in her face. I stopped riding my bike for you, and you don't even seem to care. You're not even giving me sex anymore. You're not even appreciating that I'm doing that for that.
Yeah, that'll make it go backwards the opposite direction. You can't say it like that and expect her to be like, oh, happy that you did that.
Right. Because still, that's a selfish statement. You're not noticing that I'm doing. You're not giving me something for doing. You're not appreciating me for doing. Again, about you. Do it and don't let anybody know. The Bible says, if you're fasting, don't let everybody know, oh, I'm fasting today. I'm so tired. Or it's like, they said, if you tithe, don't let the whole world know how much money you're giving. Now, I think you can use those in certain aspects to inspire other people, but at the same time, it's not like you're giving just so other people know how generous you are,
Right.
And so when you do that, it's just expecting nothing because you actually just love your spouse. You have to do it. And it's not once, it's not twice. It's months and months and months, if not years of doing that.
Yeah.
They're noticing, and it would take you time to figure this out. But if you're sitting there like, oh, get off your phone. I came in here to hang with you. Like, what's going on? I might as well just go back to the other room and hang with myself. At least I get something done.
No, you just need to make yourself present in those times, even if they're not even wanting to connect with you and spend the time with you, or don't seem to. They're on their phone or doing something else. Make yourself available and present.
Absolutely. That's the key. You got to be able to do that. And you just have to have your heart in the right place. Like, you're enjoyable being there. Like, if you're like, I'm using The Bachelor as an example. You can't just sit there and do it. And then you watch it with her and be like, this show's so stupid. Like, so scripted.
Why do you even watch it?
Like, I can't believe you watch it. People watch this crap. Like, now you're putting her down. And I know that people say that
all the time. And then she's not even going to want you around. She'd rather you be doing the other things that you were doing.
Right. She's like, why don't you just go do something else? And then you're like, I knew she didn't want to spend time with me.
Yeah.
No, she wants to just enjoy the show.
Right.
Rather than you telling her it's dumb.
Right.
Same thing if you were watching, I don't know, whatever you watch, like golf, and she comes in and she's like, how can you watch this? This is boring. So stupid. Ugh, I can't believe they make millions of dollars for doing something as dumb as this. You're going to be like, dude, get out of here. I just want to enjoy myself here.
Like, thanks for ruining my time.
So you have to be positive and enjoyable to be around. So when you meet them with where at, be enjoyable, be open-minded, glass half full, positive.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a masculine man is, positive and not negative. A masculine man is not negative. That's a weak man, because that
Yes.
shows weak mindset.
Yes.
Masculinity is a positive man, glass half full, operating from a place of victory, not defeat. And so, guys, this week, really just take a look at your life and ask yourself, where can I remove things that I know I'm spending too much time for myself? And I don't care if they're beneficial or not. The only thing you don't remove is your time in the Word. Just find a time where you can do that, where it's not taking time out from your spouse. Don't remove church. Don't remove a men's group that you're part of. You should be in doing all of those things. And those things should come before any other thing you're doing in your life. And then meet your spouse with where she's at. So just remove those things so you can't play golf anymore. Oh, well. Like, for the time being, oh, well.
Is golf more important than your wife?
And your marriage?
Yeah.
Like,
the answer should be no.
When you have a happy marriage, you literally, we always talk about this, like, it's why people think they need a bigger and bigger and bigger house. We love watching like HGTV, or on the, now it's more of a YouTube, where we just like watching like $20 million houses, $10 million houses, like in cool locations, not because we want them one bit.
It's just for fun.
We love seeing like the views, or
the area,
right. And every time we're like, okay, this house is just way too big, but I love the windows and I love the lot and the location it's on, right? Mm-hmm. It's just cool to see those things. We always talk about this, that me and you, if it was just me and you, could live in a tiny home.
Yeah. I always say I could live in a shack as long as I had you.
Right. Because when life's that, you don't need anything. Yeah. Jesus says foxes and dens don't have a place for a roof over their head, but yet that's what the same thing for the Son of Man. Jesus didn't have that, right? And that's what we're called to be like as Christ, followers of Christ. And so it's not about these material things. It's not about these other things that we're doing. It's about just love. And that's the thing that will fill us up, guys. I promise you, when you're loving on other people, that's the thing that fills you up the most. It'll bring peace into your life. Can you still eventually play golf and do other things like that? Absolutely. But at a certain spot, you have to fit it in where it doesn't take away. And I promise you, so many men have been through them in my program about this, to where their wives, they had to remove those things. And now their wives are like, babe, go play golf this weekend. Go enjoy. Like, they're doing it not because they don't want to spend time with them. They're like wanting to, I don't want to say reward their husband, but like, babe, like, go enjoy yourself. I know how much that means to you. Mm-hmm. And then, but then don't take advantage of that and start playing all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, where they're just excited for you to go play, rather than you just telling them, hey, this Sunday I'm going and playing all day. Well, that's all day.
Right.
Golf is 2/3 of the day. And then chances are you guys are out there drinking some beers. Chances are you're hanging out with people you shouldn't be hanging out with. Remove the alcohol, remove those friends. And so sometimes you're like, man, this sounds really extreme. Well, if you want an extremely good marriage, do that. If you want to be, if you're actually a Christian, read what the Bible says. It's extreme. It's not pick and choose. You do things high level. There's going to be hard things you have to remove, that the flesh, but the spiritual stuff that come in will make you feel 1,000,000 times more peaceful and joyful than a new car, than playing an amazing round of golf, or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm promising you, it'll make you feel amazing. Once you get to those spots, you can reintroduce things back in, just like an elimination diet. You can introduce certain things back in and see where it fits. But that's a discussion for you guys. And that's also where you guys will probably be just doing things together. And that's all that matters anymore, because you're just so joyful. So maybe you guys are playing golf together.
Right.
She's open to it now. So now you get to do it. Or maybe you found a different hobby that you both enjoy, and that's more enjoyable than those other things. Because guess what? The conversations are going to be amazing. Your life is so peaceful and joy. Your house is a place of peace. You guys are having sex that's more amazing than ever. Like, it's so connecting.
Yeah.
I mean, how amazing has our sex been recently?
Yeah, so good.
And we've been together for 25 years and probably had sex 10,000 times.
It just gets better.
Like, it's insane. The Spirit just, I can feel the Holy Spirit just traveling back and forth between me and you. And what's crazy about that, guys, is a kind of a little off topic, is that when you have secular sex, you always need to push the limits. She needs to wear something kinkier for you. You need to do different crazy positions. You need all this extra next thing to push the limits, to try to keep it different. Mm-hmm. But as I feel like, as we've gotten just so close with Jesus and so close with each other, that we could literally do the same position. We don't, but it's just kind of getting more simpler. We can do the same positions. And it's just mind blowing each time, because we found like the Spirit just traveling. It doesn't need to push the limits.
Yeah.
it's not about that, because the spirit of the high is so good. Just like as people who are like can get into deep prayer or meditation, you're sitting there with your eyes closed. It's not like I need to do it next time on top of a mountain. Next time I need to do it when I'm in a Lamborghini. Next, no, it's like, no, you can just sit in a dark room.
Anywhere.
It's
Yeah.
the same thing with sex, and that's
Yeah.
what really becomes special. But you'll never get there if you don't meet your wife with where she's at. She needs to stop seeing you being selfish and seeing it about her. And it's a process, guys. You just have to stay consistent and meet her with where she's at, time and time again. I don't care if she's on her phone and ignoring you. You still have to stay present with that. So,
Mhm.
love y'all. Truly, truly appreciate every single one of you guys. If you feel like you need coaching, reach out. There's a link below that's going to give you a free resource. There's also a link to book a call in there if you want to with our team. Lastly, if you guys could just rate this podcast a 5 stars, it really, truly means the world to us, because this is our ministry in a lot of different ways. And I can't tell you how much one 5-star rating actually pushes it out to more people. So we appreciate you guys. Much love, and God bless.
Bye.